pearls and swine bereft of me. Long and weary my road has been. I was lost in the cities, alone in the hills. No sorrow or pity for leaving I feel. I am not your rolling wheels. I am the highway. I am not your carpet ride. I am the sky. Friends and liars, don't wait for me, 'cause I'll get on all by myself. I put millions of miles under my heels, and still too close to you I feel. Yeah. I am not your rolling wheels. I am the highway. I am not your carpet ride. I am the sky. I am not your blowing wind. I am the lightning. I am not your autumn moon. I am the night. I am not your carpet ride. I am not your rolling wheels. I am the highway. I am not your carpet ride. I am the sky. I am not your blowing wind. I am the lightning. I am not your autumn moon. I am the night. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. A long, long time ago, I can still remember how the music used to make me smile. Knew if I had my chance, I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. That February made me shiver with every paper I'd deliver. Bad news on the doorstep, I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride, but something touched me deep inside the day the music died. So bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, "This'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die, 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 die." Did you write the book of love? Do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so. And do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? Can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him, 'cause I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes. Man, I dig those rhythm and blues. Woo-hoo. I was a lonely teenage bouncing bronchi buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck. But I knew I was out of luck the day the music died. I started singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Rode my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing This'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Now for 10 years we've been on our own. Moss grows fat on a rolling stone, but that's not how it used to be. And the jester sang for the king and queen in a Cody borrowed from James Dean. Voice that came from you and me. Oh, and while the king was looking down, the jester stole his thorny crown. The courtroom was adjourned. No verdict was returned. And while Lennon read a book on Marx, the quartet practiced in the park. And we sang dirges in the dark the day the music died. We're singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing This'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Helter skelter in a summer swelter, the birds flew off with a fallout shelter. 8 miles high and falling fast. Fast did fall on the grass. The players tried for a forward pass. The jester on the sidelines in a cast. And the halftime air was sweet perfume. The sergeants played a marching tune. We all got up to dance. Oh, but we never got the chance, 'cause the players tried to take the field. The marching band refused to yield. Do you recall what was revealed the day the music died? Oh, and there we were all in one place, a generation lost in space, with no time left to start again. Come on, Jack, be nimble, Jack, be quick. Jack Flash sat on a candlestick, 'cause fire is the devil's only friend. Oh, and as I watched him on the stage, my hands were clenched in fists of rage. No angel born in hell could break that Satan spell. And as the flames climbed high into the night to light the sacrificial rite, saw Satan laughing with delight the day the music died. Found it difficult. I met a girl who sang the blues, and I asked her for some happy news, but she just smiled and turned away. I went down to the sacred store, where I'd heard the music years before, but the man there said the music wouldn't play. And in the streets the children screamed, the lovers cried, and the poets dreamed. Not a word was spoken. The church bells all were broken. And the 3 men I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, they caught the last train for the coast the day the music died. They were singing. Alright, enough of that, sorry. Pistol shots rang out in the barroom night. Enter Patty Valentine from the upper hall. She sees a bartender in a pool of blood. Cries out, my God, they killed them all. Here comes the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. 3 bodies lying there in despair. Another man named Bello moving around mysteriously. I didn't do it, he says, and he throws up his hands. Was only robbing the register, I hope you understand. I saw them leave, and he says, and he stops. One of us had better call up the cops. And so Patty calls the cops. And they arrive on the scene with the red lights flashing in the hot New Jersey night. Meanwhile, far in another part of town, Reuben Carter and a couple of friends are driving around. Number one contender for the middleweight crown had no idea what kind of shit was about to go down when a cop pulled him over to the side of the road, just like the time before and the time before that. Patterson, that's just the way things go. If you're black, you might as well not show up in the street unless you want to draw the heat. Alfred Bello had a partner and he had a rap for the cops. Him and Arthur Dexter Bradley were just prowling around. He said, I saw two men running out. They looked like middleweights. They jumped into a white car with out-of-state plates. And Miss Patty Valentine just nodded her head. Cop said, wait a minute, boys. This one's not dead. So they took him to the infirmary, and though this man could hardly see, they told him he could identify the guilty man. What? 4 a.m, and they had hauled Reuben in. They took him to the hospital, and they brought him upstairs. The wounded man looks up through his one dying eye, says, what you bring him in here for? He ain't the guy. Here's the story of the hurricane. The man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. Months later, the ghettos are in flame. Reuben's in South America fighting for his name, while Arthur Dexter Bradley's still in the robbery game. And the cops are putting the screws to him, looking for somebody to blame. Remember that murder that happened in a bar? Remember you said you saw the getaway car? You think you like to play ball with the law. Think it might have been that fighter that you saw running that night. Don't forget that you are white. Arthur Dexter Bradley said, I'm really not sure. The cop said a poor boy like you could use a break. We got you for the motel job and we're talking to your friend Bello. You don't want to have to go back to jail. Be a nice fellow. You'll be doing society a favor. That son of a bitch is brave and getting braver. We want to put his ass in stir. We want to pin this triple murder on him. He ain't no gentleman Jim. Bob Dylan showing off. Reuben could take a man out with just one punch, but he never did like to talk about it all that much. It's my work, he'd say, and I do it for pay. And when it's over, I'd just as soon to go on my way up to some paradise where the trout streams flow and the air is nice, and ride a horse along a trail. Then they took him to the jail hell house where they tried to turn a man into a mouse. Makes one hate Bob Dylan. All of Reuben's cards were marked in advance. The trial was a pig circus. He never had a chance. The judge made Reuben's witnesses drunkards from the slums. To the white folks who watched, he was a revolutionary bum. And to the black folks, he was just a crazy N-word. No one doubted that he pulled the trigger. And though they could not produce the gun, the DA said he was the one who did the deed. And the all-white jury agreed. I'm dying over here. It never ends. Reuben Carter was falsely tried. The crime was murder one. Guess who testified? Bello and Bradley, and they both boldly lied. In the newspapers, they all went along for the ride. How can the life of such a man be in the palm of some fool's hand? To see him obviously framed couldn't help but make me feel ashamed to live in a land where justice is a game. Big finish. Now all the criminals in their coats and their ties are free to drink martinis and watch the sun rise, while Reuben sits like Buddha in a 10-foot cell, an innocent man in a living hell. That's the story of the hurricane, but it won't be over till they clear his name and give him back the time he's done. Put in a prison cell, but one time he could have been the champion of the world. there's some fly. What is the consciousness of a